What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. I'm joined by a very special, but at this point, just very continuous guest here with Steven from Craven Something Scary. It's always an honor, truly, to have him on. I looked back. I think, Steven, this is our sixth time together.
Wow.
I don't know, a lot of these horror movies tend to die off after like four or five. So I don't know when we start to like fall apart. Maybe around now. But thank you so much for being here, guys. Make sure I think a lot of us share the same audience, but if you haven't subscribed to Craven Something Scary, his link's in the description. Steven, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Alex. What a nice intro. I really appreciate it, my friend. And number six, or this will be number seven. Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible. And look, no matter what happens with Scream, brother, we'll never die off, my friend.
That's
We are
true.
gonna keep it going from now on. So it's a done deal.
Very true.
But it's great to be here with you, man. Thanks for the invitation, as
Of course.
always.
Well, let's start kind of how we always do when it's like you and I. Let's kind of take a pulse. So we were just talking literally before I hit record. It's pretty dead. Now we do have some spoiler, and we'll kind of we'll make sure people know it's character descriptions and maybe a scene, but we'll talk about that. But beyond that, beyond literally one Twitter account, kind of keeping it up,
Yeah.
it's been pretty quiet. So how does it feel? I know you've been doing a lot of the Halloween content and crushing it. But where are you kind of on Scream, kind of just like a waiting approach?
Really, seriously, that's what it is. It has gotten so quiet. For a while there, it was impossible to keep up. It felt like
Yeah.
with the Scream news, like every day, like I'm doing a video on this, and while I'm making the video, something drops,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I can't. I got to stop. I got to do
Right.
this now. And that was like for quite a while. It was happening,
Yeah.
and really once Nev dropped her bomb in June, and then
Yeah.
they started filming, it's been an insane pace.
Right.
But you're so right. It is like the last few weeks it has been so slow. There's nothing because everyone now they're in post production mode, right? So they're
Yeah.
they're all hibernating in the studio in Hollywood somewhere,
Yep.
working on editing and stuff. But it does. Thankfully, there's Halloween, which is
Yeah.
really it's kind of done the opposite. As
Right.
as Scream went down, Halloween started going up, and so it's an insane thing with Halloween. So that's kept me really busy with Halloween news. But
Yeah.
but I miss. Here's the thing. I know it's like calm before the storm.
Right.
I know that screen storm is forming
Yeah.
out in the gulf of the internet, and it's just a matter of time before it
Well,
hits.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Even with, I think last week on the video I made on my channel, and I think maybe Tristan found it. There was a couple people on Twitter of the Mason Gooding when he posted. They're gonna have the character posters out, and I imagine, I mean, that coming out in October makes a ton of sense to bank on Halloween.
Yes.
I mean, by the time this video goes up, we could have maybe a week or two left, and then they really start hitting us. So yeah, I don't think it's going to last much longer. This kind of dead period, but I'm thinking about it. It's like, man, there is a part of me that worries because it's like they need to go fast. Like they
Mm.
don't have. And granted, as I was looking back, like dates for five, I believe they finished editing the movie in July. So even though
Okay.
they had, like a year and a half, it still took them not a year and a half to do it. So they have relatively the same time, but like there's no room for air. What I mean? Like they
Right.
had from July to January if they wanted. They
Mm.
don't have that this time.
No.
So I guess that will kind of be maybe the last topic, and we'll get to these character things. Are you concerned? What do you think about? They really only have these 5 months. It's not that long.
Yeah, it's not long, so they're gonna have to be in super aggressive mode. And if they're gonna do any reshoots, they're
Yeah,
gonna have to get on it pretty quickly because think about it, we're basically at October, right? This the end of the
yeah,
week. We're October in a couple days, so you know they're gonna want a trailer out, I would think, by Christmas
yeah.
because that's at least a teaser trailer, right? The
Right,
first That's 3 months ahead of the movie, which is about the normal
right.
time frame. So you've got really 2 months to edit and post production, sound,
Yep.
score, all that stuff.
Yeah,
And so you're moving at a quick pace for sure. So
yeah,
yeah, I think they're going to have to hustle. They're really going without a net, a little bit kind of like Scream 2 with
yeah,
Wes when he of course, this is Wes Craven, so it's a little bit different ball game here,
yeah.
but still, they're kind of taking that same roadmap, if you will, to the sequel,
Right.
and you're just gonna have to go and not look back, kind of things.
Yeah.
I only hope that I hope they didn't rush themselves. That's all. The only concern with such a fast pace is that do you let little things go,
Yeah.
right?
True.
Do you turn your eyes away? and let that little continuity error slip,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
No,
That's the only thing that like, and again, I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying it's
right.
a concern a little bit for me, but these are supposed to be the best of the best in the industry doing this work. So
Yeah.
let's see him kill it. That's the way I'm
Sure.
looking at it.
Well, and you get like Spider-Man and even like Doctor Strange. Like these are movies that have a lot of effects, and we've heard that they work on those like 2 weeks before. They're like freaking out in the studio because they're still applying effects. The movie comes out in like 2 weeks. So we've heard. I
Goodness.
mean, Scream's not the same thing, but
True.
that the tension that like we got to go. We do not have any time. I wonder, and I guess a delay is the only thing that comes from it. If it happens, I don't think
True.
it'll happen, but it's one of them. All right, so we're gonna take like a break in the video here. There's no like ad thing, although maybe, but I want to do this character profile stuff. Spoilers, I guess I think we've both talked about this account before. We talked about things that this person has said. This person is on the Nev train, by the way, of like Nev
Mhm.
Campbell. So, and take it. I really don't care if you want to believe it, you don't. That's totally cool. But
Right.
they're doing character profiles, and they promised one a day, and they promised that I think like 6 days ago, and they've only had three, so they're not keeping their promise. But that's okay. So we have one for Ethan, but then the newest one is a character by Carly, which we have heard before, and then Detective Perillo. And so I'm just going to read the tweet, and Steve and I will go over it. So Carly is very similar to Tatum as far as her attitude and fearlessness goes, enjoys partying and pushes Tara to let loose a bit. And then the detective, Perillo, not really too much of a description, old school New York style cop, leans into that New York accent. This is not Dermot, by the way. And then people were guessing, and this account did confirm who it is. And that is, and people had, if you go on like, I think we'll just Google and you type it in. So Liana Liberato is who, Carly is. And then Thomas, and we've both gone back and forth, Steven. Thomas Cadrot. I don't know if it's like a soft D and R, but he is going to be this detective that's not, or this detective that maybe there's another detective with him,
Hmm.
probably, right?
Yep.
And then we have one final thing. I'll hand over to Steven for what he thinks. This is a scene, so spoilers for potentially a scene. This damn dog will be the death of me, along with my wardrobe. Where are you? And then some, probably like a scream from P. Just said P, and this was like a couple weeks ago. Now quit playing effing hide and seek, or else I'm going to ... And that's what Ghostface says. Then Gail says, "You'll do what?" And Ghostface drops blank. Now at the time we didn't know who P was, and it kind of sounds disjointed, but it sounds like Gail and this Detective Perillo are both together. Gail is on the phone talking to Ghostface, and they can't find the dog. And then they say, "You'll do what?" And then something drops. So, Steven, let me hand it over
Mm.
to you. We talked about this before. The whole brutal thing with Ghostface, we didn't really think animals, but it seems like it could mean animals.
It seems like it could. Yeah. It's if this is correct, and obviously we're just kind of playing with the
Yeah.
assumption that it's right, um, then yeah, we may have our first, I believe, our first animal
Yeah. I think
casualty
so.
in the Scream universe.
Yeah.
We've never seen that before. No, I know that generally speaking, most of us, don't really want to see
Right.
helpless little animals like dogs or
Yeah.
cats or whatever. Mountain lions, okay, all right, I'll get it, but a little dog or something,
Yeah.
kind of hitting really kind of close to all of our homes. However, if it's done tastefully and kind of like we were chatting a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
like if you don't show the kill on
Right.
screen and we just see the stuffed animal, if you
Yeah.
will,
Yeah.
that's how I process horror movies with dead dogs or stuff.
That's true.
It's just a stuffed animal sitting there. That's all it is. Then I'm okay with it, if it's,
Yeah.
and I mean, but that could be terrible, like especially if we see like, if I'm just going to play this out, if Gail has this dog, let's say,
Yeah.
and Dewey's dead. I know they were separated already, they were divorced, but still he's gone.
Yeah.
She still could be mourning. We don't know how much time has passed
Right.
between his death and now. So it's really sad if they make a connection with this dog in the
Yeah.
movie early, and you see her petting the dog and like,
Yeah.
and just then it's gonna hurt like midway through the movie if they do that. We're gonna be very
Right.
upset. But
Yeah.
it could be effective though. It could be
Yeah.
effective.
And And I was thinking too, like, I don't know how much you think of the like morality of the killers, but in this way, I mean, I really, because I'm thinking like, all right, well, this makes the killer like even more unlikable. But then I think, well,
Yeah.
has any of the killers, like they're doing all these like body counts, are any of them, once you know what they did, are any of them likable as humans? And I don't I feel like the answer is no, and so like killing an animal probably wouldn't, but there is like that thing behind it where it's like, all right, well, you need to bring this person down, right? It
Yes.
almost, I guess, if you really want to read into it, maybe it amplifies like that Ghostface can't get away with it. They can't make it to
Hmm.
7. So if you want a Ghostface to carry over, I mean, I guess you can, and I mean, it's really nitpicking, right? You're saying because it killed an animal, we want justice so bad that the movie can't let the person not die. It's a huge reach, but I feel like it does speak to like that person's personality that they're willing to do something like that.
It really does. It speaks to the kind of the depravity that they're at, level of
Yeah.
depravity they're at, and also to reinforce your point. Like anytime I'm ever with people, and this includes myself, like just on my own, but with other people too. When you see an animal death,
Yeah.
where like they're murdered, not like accidental. I'm talking about like intentional, like this.
Yeah.
Everybody in the room gets righteous indignation.
Yeah.
Everyone gets angry,
Yeah.
me included. I'm like, "Oh, you did not.
Right.
You son of a gun. Like you're going down, man."
Yeah.
And I think I believe the majority of us
Yeah.
as fans of the movie and and just human beings, if we saw this happen, I think it would add a little bit of salt to the
Right. Yeah.
wound. And we would be much more we'd be ready for this person to get destroyed.
Right.
I mean, I would.
Yeah. Well, they made an
Right?
entire, I mean, John Wick, the franchise, is built
Oh
off of
yeah.
it. So
Bingo.
that proved right there that you can justify eliminating, we'll say, to not say the K word too often,
Right.
eliminating 500 people or however much John Wick has simply because of a dog. It's worth the trade-off.
Heck yeah.
It
And
is.
just think about this. Without that without that occurrence, that action happening with the
Yeah.
dog, there would be no John Wick. And I mean, the world is better for having John Wick in it. So
Exactly.
let's be honest.
That's true. That's when, and so, in terms of the characters, specifically, Detective Perillo, there's not like an old school New York style cop leans into that New York accent. The biggest thing you can grab from that is who the actor is and who it's not, right? Like leans into an accent. Okay, I don't really, but the fact
Yeah.
that it's not Dermot, eliminates that, because now you can still connect, because you would think maybe if this person is connected to somebody, maybe that's in the description and it's not. So this could just be like a one-off character. Maybe this is
Yep.
their version of Judy, or something like
Hmm.
that. And then Carly, very similar to Tatum. What do you think about that? So like we've talked about it, you and I, where in 5 it's like the only time Tatum's really ever leaned into. Do you think they would actually go so far to make a character in her mold in that kind of respectful way?
I mean, I think they could. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, think about how popular even today
Yeah.
Tatum is in the character lore of the franchise. I mean, she's one of the best characters that I believe of the franchise ever,
Oh yeah.
and great best friend. She was a great, I loved her personality, all of those things. And you really hated to see her die, and you felt bad when you saw her neck crushed in the garage door. It hurt.
Yeah.
So I would say, in a way, if as long as they're not like downright imitating her, which I
Yeah.
don't think they would do that, but someone in the spirit of Tatum and that kind of character, the way she delivered, I would say it's a good thing. Honestly,
Right.
I think it was saying that it's Tara's friend, right? That's supposed to be
Enjoys
Tara's friend.
partying and pushes Tara to let loose a bit. So it's something that
Ah,
Tara, has, and maybe that. I mean, see, for Carly, there's a lot you can read into, because you can also connect Liana, and then you can
hmm
say, okay, well, that Devin now has to be connected to Mindy, like the rumors had suggested.
yep.
You think like, okay, well, Carly can't die immediately now, like all those kind of things. Um, yeah, I like the idea, and I guess even with Sam, the rumor kind of being a protective sister, well, this
hmm
character kind of goes against, right? She's the more
Yep.
letting loose, and then Sam
That's
would
right.
come in and say, "What the heck are you doing?"
Yeah, she's that. Yeah, this Carly's this voice of saying, "Don't listen to her. Come on,
Which
it's not."
makes her look sketchy too.
It does. It does. And we may find out, and she may be a red herring through this whole thing too.
Right,
Where is she luring Tara? Is
right,
she trying to get Tara to get into a spot where Ghostface is going to be,
Exactly.
or is it a situation where she literally is just trying to be a good friend,
Right.
help her get over
Is-
the issues, you know,
Right.
and have fun?
All it takes is one party that she says, "Hey, Tara, we should go," and Tara's like, "No, I don't want to," and she says, "Well, go," and then coincidentally, Ghostface attacks. I mean, from
Yeah,
Sam's perspective, now you're looking at that Carly set the whole thing up.
that's right.
So I really, and I don't really know if they've ever played well, like the Derek kind of thing, I suppose, and maybe this movie's gonna, reflect that. I like that idea of that kind of play between Sam's gonna be
Hmm.
overly protective, and then this character's way too loose, but it could just be in her personality.
Yeah,
Loose. She doesn't have to be Ghostface because of it.
that's right. It could be innocent. And at the very end, you know, she's in the third act, and we are really thinking she's involved, and she gets killed.
Yeah.
You know, it turns out she wasn't all this time. She was really trying to just help Tara have fun, if you will, in
Yeah.
college. And you know, it's the devil and the angel on the shoulder. You know,
Yeah.
it's Sam and Carly, and there you go.
Yeah. Do you
Oh.
think, I guess based off of it, like Tatum, I don't know, people have broken down screen time and stuff. I don't know how much Tatum is in it. Would you agree that Carly would then become, so Liana, I guess, would become a character that's in it more often and would make it a little bit further?
I do. Yeah, if that's truly the case, I think she would make it to the third act. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
if they're going to make her a real central figure supporting cast member for Tara, like her best friend, let's say, which is what Sydney and Tara, I mean Sydney and um help me out, man. I just
Tatum.
blanked out. Tatum, my gosh, yes. Too many names. Tatum and Sydney were such good, you know, best friends.
Yeah.
If they're going to kind of make that the same dynamic for Tatum with Carly, then I think she does make it to the third act.
Yeah.
And I think she'll be of course, Tatum was never a red herring.
Yeah.
If you ask, I never suspected her ever.
Yeah.
So they may not be going for that, but they could. They could be trying to maybe mix a little bit of doubt. And as you said, if she says we really need to go to this party and Ghostface is there, then sure. You have to at least wonder.
Right.
But I think she sticks around to the third act.
Yeah. Well, and,
Yeah.
and even like Tatum was used more so. I would like the idea that even Dewey could potentially be it. It was more so to get you to Dewey than actually,
Mm-hmm.
Tatum was. Let me run by Ethan with you because we
Okay.
haven't. I think maybe I did it. I don't know if you did it, but so Ethan, awkward, smart, and wants college to be the opposite, basically, of high school. Lets loose under the influence, but doesn't deal with rejection all that well. I believe that's Jack Champion is the confirmed person for that. So younger,
Yep.
well, it kind of fits the description, right? Awkward and going straight from high school to college. Lets loose under the influence, but doesn't deal with rejection all that well. See, the influence part kind of goes with Carly to me, but then the rejection part, like, I think some people were even trying to connect it a little bit to like Stu. Those are kind of some
Yep.
personality traits that Stu would, have in the first one. What do you think about Ethan?
So it's interesting, man. Jack Champion has been tied to possibly being a Stu type character since he was announced.
Yeah.
Because I know that when he first came on to the scene, he started following Matthew Lillard on
Nice.
Twitter, and he never had followed him prior to being cast in the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This 17-year-old kid is now following Matthew Lillard, and he's oh, by the way, just got cast for Scream. So I wonder, that really made me, that more than anything probably makes me think that maybe him and Matthew have had some discussions about some things perhaps. And what if this is some relative of Stu? I mean, we know he had a.
Do you look at Kyle, right? Because Kyle, when 5 was going on, I mean, the first thing he posted with the tweet, like, my parents are going to kill me. And everybody latched onto that. And it turned out he was connected. Like, he literally gave himself away. We didn't know how necessarily, but you knew he's somehow connected to Stu because he literally said the line. So I didn't know that, but I remember the Kyle one, knowing both. It's like, oh, well, now, it seems probably very likely whether you want to believe the theory of Stu coming back or simply he's going to have the mannerisms. Like, it's just going to be kind of that character. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. And I've got my eye on Jack Champion. Let me just tell you closely. I'm going to also be paying attention to, wardrobe, you know, and all these kind of things for any type of clues. And like you say, you know me, I'm on the stew train. You know, I'm the conductor,
I
Alex.
had
You
to
know
throw it
that.
out there.
I appreciate that. Like, oh, he's throwing me a bone because I am all about Stu Macher returning. You know, hot take, it's a volatile take, but that's all right. I do believe that the opportunity's there for
Yeah,
Stu to come back in 7, not 6, but 7.
yeah,
We'll save that for another discussion, but that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm looking at it from the lens of, oh, okay, well then maybe he is some relative of Stu somehow, and there's your Stu connection to
right.
6, and then maybe he drops breadcrumbs. Who knows, man?
Yeah.
How this could go. However, the question is, will he survive or not? And I think most of these characters are dead. They're all
Yeah,
dead.
a lot of them you can't see.
Yeah.
Even from the script, like comparing Carly to Tatum immediately puts a target on
It
on her
does.
back.
Yes.
I guess Ethan being so young, maybe you can make the argument either way.
Yeah.
Like young and naive, so an easy
Mhm.
kill or whatever, but then also young enough to go into. And I mean, you and I both talked about it. Like, what do you do? Well, I guess we can throw it. We'll throw the question back out there for the final thing. So knowing some of these characters, but also we've talked about it. Like, you have so many returning people, and it's very possible you could still have a good amount of them going into the next one. Is there any carryover in the new characters from 6? It's something I've personally been worried about. Right? Is if you keep the core 4 and say Kirby and Gale. I mean, if you keep all of them alive, you're going into 7 with the same as 6, so you probably can't carry over any new character. And I guess thinking about Scream 2, it was the exact same way, right? In fact they eliminate Randy, and then they have 0 carryover, right? I believe I guess
Yeah.
like Cotton, do you count because they kind of fully introduce him and then you keep him,
But
but like maybe.
because but remember he was in the first
He
one
was in the
too.
first, right? But
So
like seeing him in the
technically,
flash and he gets like a little
right.
personality, so you know what I mean.
True.
But for the most part, they actually eliminated characters off the starting list. And this
Yes.
one, I don't know. I don't see how really any of the new people make it.
Yeah, I think it's highly doubtful that we'll see any of these new people. I believe we're going to lose one of the core 4.
Yeah.
I think that's a done. I really do. I believe one of them will die in this movie. So we'll have the core 3 will be what
Yeah.
we're calling it for 7, I guess. And plus Gale. I do believe Gale makes it.
Yeah.
And Kirby is to me a coin flip.
Yeah.
I think they could easily kill her in the 3rd act,
Yeah.
or they could keep her alive and she goes off in the sunset.
Right.
I don't anticipate Kirby coming for 7. I highly doubt it. So, but if you think about it, that's 3 plus Gale's 4,
Yep.
right? So that's at least 4 survivors. So we'll have 4 going into 7 minimum.
Yep.
I guess
you could bring Sydney again, so you could
yes,
have, you know.
yes, we hope. We're
Fingers
hoping. Yeah, but yeah, if I'll put it this way, if any of the new cast survives and makes it into 7, it can't be more than 1.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's gonna be more than 1, Alex, because you're looking at even then 5 people.
Yeah.
If my math is right, if depending on what they do with Kirby.
It's a lot, and then like, what do you like? What's the goal of 7? And you're dealing with I mean, and you think of 3, and I fully. Well, I mean, actually, we know that it wasn't really the story they were going to tell. Firstly,
True.
also you have to wonder because of Nev's availability, how that would have shifted, right? Because she would have been in it more.
Yep.
So what's the perfect plot of a Scream 7? I guess what's the perfect plot of a Scream 3 as well, right? And the more characters, I feel like that's just going to make it harder to do. You probably want to go into 7 not with a lot, with less characters.
Yes, less characters. It's the final of the trilogy. It's the final chapter. So it seems to me like you want to be lean and mean. You're going to take your 3 characters. I believe Sam and Tara are locks to survive. I don't think that's even on the table.
Yeah.
I think one of the Minx twins will survive this thing and carry into 7 as well. I do. Now, it would be a shocker if they kill both the twins. Now, that would be subverting expectations. Yeah, big time. But I don't think so. I think they're going to play it safe. I think they're going to I'll stop saying that. They're going to eliminate. That's the word. Eliminate one of them, and they'll keep Gale. So that's what I'm thinking. That's 4 survivors. But here's the thing, Alex. Even if someone lives of the new cast, that does not mean they're carrying over to 7.
True.
They just like, for example, Joel from
Yeah.
Scream 2, the cameraman, right?
Yep.
He
Good
came
point.
back at the end, but he was not in 3.
Right.
So even if there are survivors, I don't think they're going to carry over. It's my
Yeah,
prediction.
no, that's a good way of thinking about it. I mean, and there could be such a thing. I know that these franchises don't do it as happy endings and some of these, but
Right.
I mean, with certain like Gale is the only one you could imagine because like Sydney maybe inadvertently gets a happy ending because of all this.
Yep.
Gale, theoretically you could write her where she doesn't want to be in 7. You don't have to kill if she doesn't want to be in 7. You don't have to kill her. You just
No.
you'd write her, organically out, and that is it's probably the least likely option. I feel like you'd go for the kill then because why not capitalize on it from their minds, not my mind. You know what I mean? So
Yep. Yep.
they're all tough decisions with all these characters.
They are.
Yep.
None
Well,
of them are easy.
yeah, and like we said, so or actually you put it pretty well too. Like this is us playing along with. This is us
Yes.
following the tweets. So this person again has talked about Nev, does fully believe she's film. I think like from this person's mouth is a cameo. So if that, I guess we'll see. As more time has gone on, like the character profiles, if they turn out to be right, that's a pretty big thing to get. Right, the names
Yeah.
have been floating out there. So maybe you could say they're stealing it from, but if they get like the mannerisms and the personality traits, if they
True.
start to get that right, I'm on board. I
Yeah.
actually have been on board with it. And I'm one of the last people I think
I
that
think
believe that
so.
Nev is in it.
Yep.
But that can go away pretty quickly. Where are you on that still? You still on no?
I'm still on no, but I will say this: there's someone that I'm acquainted with recently
Yeah.
who actually was on the production staff. I can't reveal who this is at all, but I can tell you this that they they were there for all of these studio shootings, the Mel's studio where the
Yes.
sets were made, and they gave me a ton of insight on what those sets were and what they actually were not. Some of the stuff I was right on, some stuff I was wrong. It was really great. Did a whole video on it. You guys check it out. But one of the things that when it came to the Nev thing, I was like, so I know you can't really say,
Yeah.
but I really would love to know. I said, I don't think she's going to be in the movie. And he said, well, I can tell you that it was on the set, it was completely secret. No one would talk about it at all, yes or no. Like everyone in the crew, everyone on the team, there was no like open discussions about it. And he said no one would ever say. He said all I can tell you is that she was not there on the days I was there.
Yeah.
But he's still not saying no. That's the thing.
Right.
Nobody has said no.
Yeah, and maybe it's the optimistic side of me with whatever, but like not saying no to me is yes because you
Right.
could just say no.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. You could just say no. And then there's another person that was on the crew that I don't know directly, but I know the person who's on site in Montreal.
Yeah.
And they asked the same questions and they got the same exact answers. They're saying,
Yeah.
I can't tell you, I really can't talk about this.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is that I did not see her, but no one has come out from these two sources
Right.
that I'm acquainted with and said no. So I think it's still in the rumor era, it's still possible. I just personally, because of the language Nev used in all of her interviews, it just makes me hard to imagine.
It's more of a long shot now than ever. I think with time and like distance from the announcement, it's become less and less people even want to think about it. Like it's just not something that really people bring up. People are almost kind of done with it, which I understand that with both the way she talks and then just how it's been dragged on. I get kind of piecing out of the situation, but we'll see. Like I said, this a big thing with these leakers really rests on that. If she's in it, these people are golden. If she's not in it, these people are liars. So
that's going to really crush their reputations moving forward. Yeah.
So that's why I like it because I like to see people fall, and I also like to see people really establish themselves, I guess, as sources. So we'll see, especially going into 7. Then you could trust. That's another thing too, right? You know you could trust the people. Well, an amazing talk as always. We did it
Yes.
off the cuff like we always do. That's what the are in the talk. But make sure if you guys haven't subscribed to Steven, his link's in the description.
Oh.
Get him to that 7K. He'll get there with Halloween anyway. So, but thank you so much, man, again for being here.
Man, thank you, Alex. This was, again, always a pleasure. I look forward to our conversations all the time. And so this was great. Thank you, man.
Of course, and we didn't drop the ball. And I don't know if like Halloween 6 dropped the ball or like Friday the 13th sound. I don't really even know, how many of these movies made it to 6, but we did good, and we'll go on to 7. We'll see where it goes there.
Yes.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all on the next one.